Pride and Prejudice through the lens of A Course in Miracles becomes a study in perception, projection, self-concept, and the slow undoing of judgment. The title itself already sounds ACIM adjacent. Pride, the ego's self-concept, its defended identity, its certainty about itself. Prejudice, perception decided in advance, seeing not what is there, but what the mind already believes. That is almost the entire ACM curriculum. You do not see the world as it is, you see it as you are. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy are not just two people falling in love. They are two minds trapped inside interpretations. Elizabeth initially sees Darcy through the lens of appearances, arrogant, cold, superior, dismissive. Darcy sees Elizabeth through social conditioning and status perception, unsuitable, beneath his class, inconvenient to his self-image. Neither is truly seeing. ACM would say both are relating to mental projections rather than reality. One of the most important ACIM ideas is perception is interpretation, not fact. The movie slowly reveals how quickly the mind builds an entire identity for someone from fragments: a facial expression, social awkwardness, rumor, class, pride, emotional triggering. Wickham is another perfect ACIM figure. He represents the ego's talent for narrative manipulation. Charming, convincing, emotionally persuasive, but fundamentally organized around grievance and self-justification. The ego loves a sympathetic story because stories stabilize identity, and Elizabeth believes him because the story confirms her existing judgment of Darcy. That is psychologically honest and spiritually important. The mind accepts information that reinforces what it already wants to believe. ACM calls this selective perception. Darcy's transformation is also fascinating because it is not merely romantic pursuit. He begins confronting the falseness of his self-concept. His pride is not just vanity, it is armor. He hides sincerity behind restraint and control. That's a very ACIM dynamic. The defended self fears vulnerability because vulnerability threatens the constructed identity. His first proposal scene is almost a perfect ego confession. I love you, but I resent that I love you. The split mind in one sentence. Love mixed with judgment, attraction mixed with superiority, connection contaminated by separation. And Elizabeth's rejection cracks something open in him. Not humiliation for punishment's sake, but interruption of self-certainty. ACIM often describes healing as the collapse of certainty about our interpretations. Darcy starts becoming teachable, not performatively nice, not spiritually grand, actually humbled. There's a difference. Meanwhile, Elizabeth must confront that her confidence in her perceptions was incomplete. That's one of the hardest spiritual moments, discovering that being intelligent does not mean seeing clearly. ACM repeatedly dismantles the ego's investment in being right, because the need to be right preserves separation. Mrs. Bennet symbolizes another layer, the anxiety machine of the ego. Constant future concern, status management, marriage obsession, survival fear, social comparison. Her nervousness is exaggerated for humor, but spiritually it reflects the mind that believes fulfillment and safety come from external arrangement. The social structure of the film itself mirrors the ego thought system: ranking, comparison, reputation, scarcity, strategic relationships, image maintenance. Everyone is performing identity. And yet the healing in the story happens through increasing honesty and direct seeing. That's ACM, moving from projection to vision. Not vision as mystical fireworks, but the willingness to see beyond the first interpretation. There's also a subtle but important distinction here. ACM would not frame the ending merely as finding the right person. The deeper healing is that both Elizabeth and Darcy become less defended versions of themselves. The relationship becomes possible because perception softens. The miracle precedes the romance. That matters. Otherwise, spirituality gets reduced to, once I get love externally, I'll finally feel whole. ACIM reverses that. As defenses soften, love becomes recognizable. The foggy fields, long silences, restrained emotions, and misunderstandings throughout the film all fit the course's idea that we move through a world of partial perception until something more honest breaks through. And maybe the deepest ACIM thread in the story is this. Elizabeth and Darcy are both imprisoned less by each other than by the images they made. Healing begins the moment the image matters less than the truth.